So it turns out that FTX was into a lot more than just running money scams from a cryptocurrency exchange through Ukraine back to the United States to fund all the Democrats' midterm election campaign. As it turns out, FTX also funded early COVID researchers, where the recipients' results said that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine were not effective to fight against the virus. Let's get into this one. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So Samuel Bankman-Fried's scam cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, gave $18.25 million to early COVID-19 researchers, where the results cast doubt on the benefits of using ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine for COVID patients. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as you are if you're paying attention, this was the beginning of the serious corruption of medical science spanning the globe. Either for the Great Reset or for a total fascist domination over the world, leaders in the United States and around the globe began faking studies that would nurture their political motives and goals. Now, there was a press release that went out on May 16 that said that FTX Foundation gave an initial grant of $3.25 million and then gave another grant of $15 million after that to these researchers. Ross Reingens-Yu, hope I didn't murder his name, is a special project lead at the FTX Foundation, where his work focuses on pandemic preparedness, and an independent research economist with he has a focus on market design, matching, and networks. Okay, he's also a corresponding affiliate at Scott Comaner's lab for economic design at Harvard. Now, he said, quote, "The FTX Foundation is excited to commit $15 million to fund additional trial arms in the Together trial and its growing global network of sister trials." He went on to say, quote, "Our initial $3.25 million grant to expand the trial network's core infrastructure has helped bring the model from Brazil to key sites across the globe, and we look forward to finding further opportunities to support the consortium's growth and help prevent future pandemics." Yeah, right. Together Trials research included a study that said the benefits of ivermectin for COVID-19 patients were not clear, and the study said that hydroxychloroquine didn't help reduce hospitalizations. Both studies had an impact on political debates about whether to use cheaper, more traditional treatments, they called them therapeutics, or the experimental, expensive mRNA injections made by big drug pharma companies like Pfizer, Moderna, and others. Now, I'm going to tell you a little inside baseball here. Okay, so about a year ago, last November, I had caught the Delta variant, which was bad. It wasn't as bad as the first one, but it was a lot worse than what we have now. Okay, and I remember I had the flu prior to that. Okay, because I got tested for COVID, and then that was negative. Then my doctor tested me for flu, and I came up positive. Okay, and so I treated that like the flu, and it was gone within about a week. Right, so within 10 days of the time of me feeling symptoms for the flu, I got the symptoms back again, and I thought, oh Christ, here we go. I'm getting the flu again. So I let it go for about 3 days, right? Doing the same things. On day 4, I woke up and I was like, this is not the flu, right? So, because I felt like I was dying, okay? And so I tested myself again, came up positive. All right. So the first thing I did was I took ivermectin because we stocked up on it before the Democrats made it illegal to save your life. Okay, so with ivermectin, a lot of people don't know this. You take 1 dose a day, and it's dependent on your height, your weight, things like that, okay? So after the second dose, which was day 2, 6 hours after I took the second dose, all of my symptoms were gone. They vanished. It was amazing, okay? I stayed on it for a few more days because that's what the protocol called for. But within 2 days, the second dose, all my symptoms were gone. Now, I had read that at the beginning before ivermectin became illegal and nothing but horse tranquilizer or whatever they called it, horse dewormer medicine, or I don't know what the hell they called it. So before that, I read that in Australia, doctors were using it, and I remember reading after the second dose, everybody felt great again, okay? So early on in the pandemic, both drugs were talked about as possible treatments for people who caught COVID. But then Donald Trump came out and he was in support of using these therapeutics until they came out with the vaccine. Okay. And that's when Trump derangement syndrome kicked in. And suddenly we had a political issue that was divisive. It wasn't Trump that created that. It was the liberal Democrats that did it. Okay. And then you had famous podcaster Joe Rogan, who came out and supported the use of these drugs as well. And that only added fuel to the fire for the leftist lunatics who wanted to use COVID deaths to trash Donald Trump for the 2020 election. Okay, we all know that's what happened. Okay, I mean, CNN had a death count going until Joe Biden was inaugurated, and suddenly, magically, that death count went away, even though more people died under Biden than they did under Trump. We're not crazy enough on the right, though, to blame Biden for that. Okay, so since we now know, here's the kicker, since we now know that FTX was involved in a scam by selling crypto coins to investors, but without the investors' knowledge, there were no coins. It was a scam. Okay, there was no crypto exchange. FTX was basically selling them IOUs. They didn't know that, though. Okay, so they used that money to leverage loans in the millions of dollars, and then they sent that money posing as altruistic, okay, to Ukraine. And they somehow, probably with the help of our government, got Ukraine to invest heavily in FTX. You following? So then FTX used that money that Ukraine invested into the company, and they funded all the midterm elections for the Democrats. Isn't that lovely? And at least one rhino Republican, we reported yesterday, Kevin McCarthy, he is slated to be the next Speaker of the House, but he received FTX funding, and he used it to run campaigns against America First MAGA Republican candidates in the primaries. Isn't that lovely? Okay. So it isn't strange to think that the same company that funded the Democrats in the 2022 midterm elections also funded so-called research that ended up giving the Democrats a narrative against treating COVID with cheaper drugs than the drugs that their pals in the pharmaceutical industry were peddling in a vaccine. Could it be that FTX was used for a hell of a lot more to help the Democrats push their evil agenda on America? Because it seems like they got their tentacles into everything so far. Folks, if it can be proven that the Democrats got funded by FTX to push the lie that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine were not effective treatments against COVID, then it begs the question of why did they do it? We already know that the same company that ran a scam through Ukraine to fund Democrat campaigns also funded the COVID trials. I took ivermectin. I'm living proof. It worked. I know a lot of people that took ivermectin and one person that took hydroxychloroquine. They all said, yeah, it worked fine for them. These questions need to be answered. And I hope the incoming Republicans in the House will do investigations for this kind of stuff because, I mean, this is one of the biggest scandals of our lifetime then. All right. So I just thought you'd need to know that. All right. So that's it. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.